previous videos, I tackled some serious problems with the BMW, but I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. There are just a few minor things to sort out before I can consider it roadworthy. First of all, the radiator fan needed to be replaced. One of the fan blades was damaged, plus the fan clutch was dragging. I figured this was a good time to convert to an electric radiator fan. My car has an automatic transmission, so it came with a clutch fan behind the radiator, plus an auxiliary fan in front of the radiator. But the ones with the manual transmission just have an electric fan behind the radiator. So I went to one of my favorite places, the junkyard, to find the fan I'm looking for. Luckily, I found a BMW with a manual transmission and the fan that I want, so I snagged it. Yes. The donor car was the same model as mine, so I was able to install the fan with no modifications. It dropped right in. I unplugged the auxiliary fan and plugged in the new one. Now let's see if the new fan works. I started up the engine and turned on the AC. That should turn on the fan. Looks good. Last but not least, I need to remove the auxiliary fan. That requires removing the front bumper. Thankfully, the bumper is easy to remove. I want to get rid of the auxiliary fan because it'll block some of the airflow through the radiator. Besides, now it's dead weight. I also noticed there's some play in the front suspension, specifically the right front wheel. Upon further inspection, I found the outer ball joint is worn out, but the ball joints aren't serviceable, so the entire control arm has to be replaced. Thankfully, there are aftermarket control arms available with replaceable ball joints, so I got one. I turned the steering wheel all the way to the right to make it easier to get at the ball joint. First, I tried to pop it loose with a pickle fork, but that didn't work. So I put a socket extension on top of the ball joint stud and hit it with a mallet. That did the job. Next, I need to detach the inner ball joint from the cross member. It's a tight spot. I had to lower the sway bar to make some room, and I had to use the double wrench method to loosen the nut. Alright, let's try the pickle fork again. It worked that time. Last but not least, I need to detach the control arm bushing from the chassis. And the old control arm comes out. Now I'll swap the bushing onto the new control arm and install it in the car. I did that off camera, but here's what it looks like with the new control arm installed. Also, I'm going to replace one of the window regulators in the driver's door. The previous owner of the car was nice enough to remove the old one for me. They even installed this piece of pipe to keep the window from falling down. That was thoughtful. Before I can install the regulator, that piece of pipe needs to come out. Also, I need to secure the window with a clamp so it doesn't fall down. They stuffed the splash shield into the door, so I had to pull it out. Alright, let's get that new regulator installed. I won't lie, it was a finicky job. I think the worst part was trying to install the two little bolts that hold the window in place. They kept falling into the door, even with a magnetic screwdriver. But with some patience and some PG-13 language, I eventually got it done. You may be wondering why I even bothered with the window regulators. These cars never came with hand crank windows, so it's power windows or nothing. And I plan to delete the AC system in the near future, so having windows that open is kind of important, especially in the Florida summer. I'll have to find out when is the next test and tune session at the local racetrack. See you next time.